The Raptors hold tough against the Detroit Pistons, taking it 115-111. Welcome to Raptors Tonight. I'm Randy Urban, joined by Eric Smith, Jack Armstrong, and Paul Jones. Jack, I'll start with you. Raptors come into this game severely shorthanded. No Pascal, no Fred, no Trent Jr., no Precious. But in terms of overall team play, what impressed you most about this win?
Well, first of all, it's the best win of the year. Now, you might say, well,
wow.
Detroit's not a great team, but there's not even a question. This is the best win of the year. I mean, if you look at some of the combinations of guys the Raptors had on the floor, and you look at the fact that Detroit has some high-end pedigree guys in terms of where they were drafted and all that on the floor, in spite of experience, this is the best win of the year. To be 8-7 at this point, with the injuries that they had. So my highlight by far was, number one, just the fact that they won, because this was a great effort. I mean, they were resilient all night. With the bench at 55, 57 points. I don't have it in front of me right now, but the bench was phenomenal. Boucher, Flynn, Aaron Gomez, whoever came in did a phenomenal job. And obviously
56, Jacko.
56. So
56,
I said 55, 50. I was right in the neighborhood there. And Delano Banton was just spectacular. He shot the ball with confidence, conviction, whether it be a catch and shoot, putting it on the floor, getting to the rim, whatever it took tonight. And, you just look at just, again, his numbers aren't the greatest, but you got a guy like Thad Young tonight. He was just his veteran experience and just dogged toughness and leadership really held it together.
Eric, do you agree with Jack? Best win of the year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, quite honestly, I didn't think much of it, before Jack said it. And I don't think, not to say I didn't think much of the win. I didn't think of that specifically in terms of win of the year. But when you factor in the way Jacko just said, with all of the players that the Raptors were missing tonight, and Jones and I were chatting about it, through the broadcast and even at the end of the game. I mean, when you're thinking of a player of the game for this one, there's no denying you have to say Delano Banton having a career night and a career high 27. But after that, we just shouted out some of the players. Where would you have been tonight without the effort and the contributions from Thaddeus Young? Where would you have been without the effort in the second unit from Hernan Gomez, from Jeff Doughton, who, I thought played well in spurts and came up with the biggest play of the game right down the stretch with that block on Ivy, where he not only blocked the shot, but kept it in bounds and then got it to his teammate in Banton. Where would you have been without OG Anunoby, who was struggling at first to start the game, but came alive in the second half? Koloko playing strong off the bench. Boucher. I mean, I just rhymed off 5-6 guys right there. And you need that type of effort when you're down 3, 4, 5 guys, losing Otto Porter mid-game as well. So another player goes down. You're already down 4 of your top 6, 7 players. Now you lose another depth guy. You needed that collective contribution. You needed everybody to chip in, and they got that tonight. That's what Nick Nurse has been asking for, next man up mentality. And every next man up arguably did something at some point in this game.
They lost a lineup tonight, Randall. Like Eric and I talked about this. They lost the lineup. Like, think about this. If you could put this lineup on the floor, Pascal, Gary Trent Jr., Van Vliet, Precious, and Otto Porter Jr. Isn't that a viable lineup? Well, sorry, those guys all can't play tonight. They're all out. And this is why you have depth. And I joked, it's kind of like you can never have enough money. You can never have enough pitching. You can never have enough shooting. It's one of those things. And the Raptors had depth. And they leaned on it today. How about Malachi Flynn in his 15 minutes, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists? Like, every single guy embodied the next man up. We're playing for the team to win. And, Jack mentioned Thad Young, and I just look, no numbers can give you what he gave you tonight. The veteran savvy, the toughness, making the extra pass, tipping the ball away, jamming a rebounder on the offensive end so guys could get back to make, like, that stuff is invaluable, and Eric talked about Jeff Doughton Jr. Randy, here's a guy we saw at Summer League, and I liked the kid at Summer League. I said, hey man, this kid can play. Where'd they find him? Oh, he was on somebody else's G League team, and he happened to torch Toronto for a career high when he was in the G League. Hey, maybe we should look at that guy, so they all came to play. And listen, let's not fool anybody. you can do this kind of stuff for a while, but the longer you go, you're going to get exposed. So they probably got this for, maybe 3, 4, 5 games, and then they need to start getting some of those guys back. They need to start getting Trent back, getting Fred back, because these guys do a great job, but the competition gets stiffer. That being said, that's why everybody gets paid twice a month, and those guys did their job tonight.
Jack, I want to go back to Banton a little bit, because when you watch him work out before the game, after the game, at shoot around, all that kind of stuff, you see that this is not what he did today a fluke. He is putting in a lot of serious work, and his shot is so much more improved from last season.
Well, I think a lot of it comes from the fact, we could talk a lot about what we see pre and post and all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of it's in the off season. Teams are made in season, players are made in the off season, and it's the price that he's paid. And he had a very productive summer playing with Canada basketball and all the different things he was doing. And, there's no, too, you look at what's happened for a lot of these young players with the development or lack thereof with the COVID-19 situation and the inability to maybe get together and play 5-on-5 and groups and interaction and really intense play. I think when I see him now, he had a really good summer of all those things, individual, group, you name it. And he looks like a guy that has swagger, confidence, belief, conviction, whatever word you want to use in his game right now. And I'll never forget it. I did years ago on TSN, I did the BioSteel game with Rod Black. And after the game, Rod and I went out for a soda. and I literally said to Rod at the time, and I was texting my college friends, I'm like, this kid, Delano Banton from Toronto, the hell's he going to Western Kentucky for? This kid's a next level guy. Now, he's not the most skilled guy, but he's a next level guy. Like, what are you guys thinking? Have you guys even seen this kid? And obviously ended up in Nebraska, which is not a big name Big Ten program for basketball. He's a guy that I just think is scratching the surface right now, and the best is yet to come. So I'm really excited for him, because when I saw him in high school, I was like, this kid's got it. Now, how good that it is, only time will tell. It's on him. But on him, this summer, he put it in, and it's coming out.
Hey, Randy, just to back up that point from Jacko as well, and Jones and I were chatting about this a little bit earlier, is, we had the privilege to, kind of sit behind the curtain a little bit at training camp in Victoria and actually watch some of the workouts. And without revealing too many secrets here, he was among the best players. Whether we want to say top 5, top 3, it might have been top 3. He was right there with like Pascal and Scotty and others in terms of performance in camp. So when the season started, I know I was kind of, keeping it in the back of my mind, like, okay, let's see what Delano does this year, because to Jack's point, coming off the summer where he played a ton and put on that Canadian uniform and was in a lot of action, it rolled right over into camp. And I'm telling you, day in, day out at camp, whether it be in 3-point drills, whether it be in 5-on-5 workouts and games and scrimmages and whatnot, whatever it was, he was one of the players that every day I would kind of perk up and go, Delano looked pretty good there. And the next day, man, Banton looked pretty good there. He was beyond impressive. And you just kind of waiting to see it really, push through in the regular season. He's had a few highlight performances or a few highlight moments, but obviously tonight was the crowning achievement just 15 games into the season. And I'm not surprised to see it based on, the body of work that we had been seeing building up until this point.
Yeah. And Jonesy, another guy that put in work in the summer, and you're seeing it, is Chris Boucher. We've been talking about him game after game here because he's been performing game after game. We saw the mid-range jumper today, which you don't see very often from him. And his confidence, Jones, is just at an all-time high.
Well, Chris's confidence is always sky high. I mean, he gets into the game and he makes stuff happen right away. He's it might not necessarily be with his scoring. He's crashing the glass. He's keeping the ball alive. He'll get a putback. When the ball comes to him, he's not afraid to shoot that 3. He'll stand in and take charges. He does everything. He's he's the quintessential bench player. And what I mean by that is he gives you something that is missing when he's put in the game, be it energy, be it some scoring, be it some defense, whatever it is that, and he's doing a good job of kind of sitting back and watching. And when he gets in there, stuff happens right away. So look, to that point, I thought he had it going tonight to the point where he passed up a couple of team plays. He could have swung that ball once more, but when you're feeling it and it goes down, nobody can say anything. So like, good for Chris. And listen, he looks around and sees Pascal and Fred and Gary and Otto and Precious out. He says, hey, that means they're going to need more. I'm willing to give more. And you know what the other thing is too, and you know, we can all kind of speak to this. You play with a freedom knowing that, hey man, coach needs me tonight. You know, if I make a mistake, I might be able to play through it. I'm not going to hear the buzzer and look over at the bench and know that's for me.
Doesn't have the option.
He needs me out there tonight. Yeah, he needs me out there tonight. So you play with, and I think we saw that. Maybe he played with a little bit more freedom tonight. But I look, Chris is he's always near and dear to my heart because he's a guy that comes in the game and plays hard. That is now a skill in the NBA. And, you know, as much as we talked about this undermanned lineup tonight, the Raptors team has that skill from the first guy down to the last guy. They play hard. Sometimes, you know, it's one of my favorite phrases. And I'm going to have to go look up the Latin, but the English is hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. And this Raptor team, sometimes they just get after it and outwork you. And they were undermanned tonight, and they worked hard. They had some good performances from people. They come out with a win. And Chris Boucher is leading that charge when it comes to working hard.
Yeah, good. Well said. Jack, did you jump out of your seat?
Can I do it?
Yeah, get in.
You know, here's my thing. How many of the guys how many guys on the Pistons have a better resume than Chris Boucher? A lot of them. But you know what? They don't have what Jonesy just spoke about. And that, to me, is what it's all about. And, you know, I look at a kid like even Malachi Flynn tonight. He's playing his tail off.
Yeah.
Loving his minutes lately.
I look at it. Yeah, you know, the last few games, I really like how he's playing. Aaron Gomez has played well. He's coming in and bringing it. So to me, I think that it's look, I understand it's the Pistons, but nonetheless, you're undermanned, and they have some guys that have been picked high and had a lot of people talking about them. And you went in there on the road, even though you had a lot of Raptor fans, which is great. And that's a great win. It's a great win. And it starts with the spirit of a guy like Boucher. And, you know, we haven't even really talked about him tonight, but, you know, OG Anunoby had the ball in his hands a lot tonight. And I thought he played a really tough game. And his defense, once again, he's a great competitor. It's just a great win tonight.
Yeah, I was going to ask you your guys' reaction. Your reaction to that dunk from OG.
Oh, well, listen, I think they talked about it on the TV broadcast as well, because I could see it. Obviously, I was watching it, but Jonesy and I mentioned it on the radio broadcast. What is with Detroit? Like, what's in the water of Detroit, right? From the James Johnson, you know, cock that joint back and bang on him a couple of years ago against Andre Drummond, right? And then we had the DeMar DeRozan, like, running the full length of the floor in that monster jam. And then tonight with OG, I don't know what it is about Detroit and those highlight reel dunks, but that was ridiculously impressive. And I love the fact that OG is just showing that drive, that determination, that just will and skill to get to the tin so often and not just settling. And he's using his size and his physicality. And Jonesy, I know I said it to you, about a week and a half ago. There was for a couple of game stretch where I thought that OG, I don't know if he was laboring a little bit because he just didn't seem to have that pop a couple of times when he was, whether it be on layups or dunks, he just seemed to be missing, that extra level. And man, either I was wrong or he's gotten healthy and he's found it, because he has looked extremely spry in a lot of games of late. And we certainly saw that highlighted with that big time dunk tonight. And I love the fact that the shot wasn't dropping, Randy. So what was he doing? Go to the tin, try and take higher percentage shots, getting to the free throw line. I believe, if not mistaken, led the team in free throw attempts and free throw appearances. And that to me is the sign of his maturity as well, recognizing when things aren't falling in terms of the perimeter, in terms of the jumper, find better ways and different ways to make an impact. And I loved it from OG.
Yeah. You know what ties all of that together tonight, Randall? What we've talked about, Jack, Eric, you, myself, that the Raptors are playing the right way.
Culture.
Like they are playing together. Yes, they are playing together as a team. Yeah, sure, Doughton knew he was going to play. Juancho knew he was going to play. But he didn't go out there and say, oh, I'm getting mine tonight. Like, I haven't played in a while. I'm going to get mine. No. We're playing to win. Like, to Jack's point about Juancho, this kid knows how to play. You know, making the right passes, taking the right shots. He's sneaky good for his size on the boards. He had 6 rebounds tonight. Like, what did he have? 7 or 8 the other night. Like, and you know, to use your words, Randy, it's a culture win. They understood that we need to play together. We're undermanned, but we can do this if everybody plays together, and they played their role well. And I thought that's what a big part of the win was tonight.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack.
Randy, I just have one point. I mean, how many people in your life call you Randall? I mean, Jonesy calls you Randall all the time.
You might
my
be
mother.
One of the few.
My mother calls me John still. I was baptized John. She says, you'll always be John. So, but there are very few people in my life that call me John. How many people call you Randall?
Just not many, not even my parents. Jonesy. It is my name, yeah. No, like only Jonesy, I think, because my email's Randall.
My mama called him Clay. I called him Clay, right? Like that's the coming to America line, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, I know I'm kind of like new to the show. I mean, I've been watching for years. I've been a fan for years, but I've only
You're like, who's Randall
this year? And I didn't even know who Randall was, because I just know this show is the Randy Urban. It's the Randy Urban Good Time Hour. I mean, this Raptors Tonight thing. All I know it is the Randy Urban Good Time Hour. I need the T-shirt. I need the hat. But you know, who's this Randall here?
You might be onto something with the T-shirts.
Isn't that a little bit more respectful and reverent to call you like hey, Randy? No.
Yeah.
I had a friend once. Actually, he's still my friend. His kids play on the national team. Kayla Alexander and Kyle Alexander. His name is Joe Alexander. And we were playing once. Joe, a great basketball player at Monarch Park in Toronto, a leaper. Played at Niagara.
Played at Niagara, yeah.
Played at Niagara. At one time, he said, no, my name is Joseph. I'm like, all right. Man doesn't want to be called by a short. My son, people call him Mikey or Mike. He will always be Michael. Like that. Like So your mama and dada, your parents named you Randall. I'm going to call you Randall.
Yeah, maybe
now, your brother who
produces
this show, your brother who produces this show, did he go by a short name? Because to me, he'll be Christian.
Yeah, I've never called him Christian in my life. I just call him Chris.
Well, there you go. There you
go. We're trying to class it up here a little bit. All right, guys. Good to stop you there. Yeah. Next game for the Raptors, Wednesday against the Miami Heat, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. That's at Scotiabank Arena. And don't forget to come by Real Sports after the game. We'll be there live streaming on YouTube, taking your questions, your comments during the show. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.